On a cold, quiet Christmas Eve, the grand dining room of a five-star restaurant was almost empty. At a corner table, a sad millionaire CEO sat alone, his expensive suit sharp but his smile nowhere in sight. Despite all the wealth and success he had built, tonight, there was no laughter, no family, no warmth, just the soft clinking of cutlery and the faint glow of candlelight. He stared at his untouched plate, lost in thoughts of past holidays spent in boardrooms and business meetings, wondering if all the money in the world could ever buy real happiness. Just as he sighed, glancing at the sparkling Christmas decorations, the restaurant doors opened, and in walked a single mother with her twin daughters. Their eyes sparkled with excitement and a kind of innocence that made him pause. Something about them, maybe the laughter of the girls or the mother's determined smile, felt like a spark of hope in the lonely night. He watched them approach, unsure what brought them here, but a sudden sense of curiosity and something else he hadn't felt in years stirred inside him. What happens next? Will this unexpected encounter change the course of his lonely Christmas Eve forever? You won't want to miss what happens next. The mother glanced around nervously, her twin daughters tugging at her coat as if sensing something important was about to happen. She was tired, having worked long hours to make ends meet, and Christmas was usually a quiet, modest affair for the three of them. But tonight, something had drawn them to this luxurious restaurant, something beyond the glittering decorations and the promise of a warm meal. Perhaps it was the hope of a small miracle, or just a desire to step out of their usual struggles for a few hours. The CEO watched them carefully, noticing the subtle contrast between his polished, expensive life and their humble, yet warm presence. There was a strength in the mother's eyes, a quiet determination that reminded him of something he had long forgotten: connection, family, and simple joy. Yet, despite his curiosity, he hesitated, unsure whether to approach or remain in his solitude. As the family settled at a table nearby, the twins giggled softly, their laughter echoing like tiny bells in the quiet room. The CEO's hand lingered over his glass, a question forming in his mind. Why had fate or chance brought these strangers into his life on the loneliest night of the year? And more importantly, what would happen when their worlds collided? As the evening wore on, the contrast between the CEO's solitude and the mother's quiet warmth became even more striking. He couldn't help but notice the little details, the way the twins shared a single dessert with careful smiles, or how the mother's eyes lit up when they pointed at the festive decorations. Each small gesture reminded him of the family he had pushed aside in the pursuit of success. A pang of regret hit him, sharper than any business loss he had ever endured. Meanwhile, the mother kept stealing glances at him, sensing a story behind his lonely demeanor. She wondered why someone with so much could seem so empty, and a mixture of curiosity and compassion stirred inside her. Her own struggles had taught her to read people quickly, and there was something about the way he lingered over his untouched meal that made her heart ache. Across the restaurant, a few patrons whispered, noticing the unusual scene of the powerful CEO sitting alone while a modest family laughed nearby. Rumors started to swirl. Some assumed he was a recluse. Others speculated he had faced a recent heartbreak. The tension built not just between the characters but in the room itself, a silent anticipation that tonight might bring an unexpected twist. The CEO's eyes met the mother's briefly, a silent question passing between them. Should he remain in isolation, or step into this unexpected moment that could change everything? The twins' laughter grew louder, ringing through the restaurant like a gentle reminder of joy the CEO hadn't felt in years. He watched as the mother quietly helped them share their dessert, her eyes full of patience and love. Each glance they exchanged seemed to tug at something deep inside him, a longing he had buried beneath spreadsheets, meetings, and endless deals. He realized that for the first time in a long time, he didn't want to be alone, but pride and habit held him back. The thought of approaching them, of bridging the gap between his world of wealth and their modest life, made him hesitate. What would he even say? Could he connect with strangers who had no idea who he really was? Meanwhile, the mother felt a pull as well. She sensed that this man carried a heavy loneliness, yet there was something unspoken, almost fragile about him. Her protective instincts for her daughters whispered caution, but curiosity pushed her forward. Outside, snow began to fall, blanketing the city in quiet, shimmering white. Inside, the restaurant seemed to shrink around the three tables, his, theirs, and the tension building in the space between them. Every tick of the clock heightened the suspense, every flicker of candlelight casting shadows of possibility. The CEO's hand hovered over the menu, the mother's eyes met his again, and for a fleeting moment, the world felt suspended. Something was about to happen, a choice that could change all their lives, but none of them knew which way it would go. Just as the CEO finally stood, gathering the courage to approach the mother and her daughters, the restaurant doors burst open, letting in a gust of cold wind. A man in a sharp suit, holding a thick envelope, strode toward the CEO's table with an urgency that made the air tense. The CEO's heart skipped a beat. This was no ordinary visitor. The man handed over the envelope and left without a word, leaving the CEO staring at it, unsure whether to open it now or later. The mother noticed his sudden distraction and frowned, sensing that something important had shifted. The twins, unaware of the tension, continued their playful chatter, but the CEO's mind raced. Inside the envelope was a business proposal, one that could either solidify his empire or ruin him entirely if handled incorrectly. Suddenly, the warmth of the moment with the family was overshadowed by the weight of responsibility and high stakes that had always defined his life. The mother felt a flicker of doubt. Should she intervene? Should she speak to this man who seemed so conflicted? Every instinct told her to protect her daughters, yet curiosity and empathy kept her rooted in her chair. The snow continued to fall outside, but inside, the restaurant had transformed into a tense stage, where decisions, secrets, and fate were colliding. The CEO faced a choice that could change everything, not just for him, but for the family nearby. The question hung in the air: would he seize the moment, or let it slip away entirely? The CEO took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the envelope in his hands and the warmth of the mother and her daughters just a few steps away. For a long moment, he hesitated, caught between the familiar world of business and the rare chance at a genuine connection. Then, with a steadying exhale, he walked over to their table, smiling in a way that surprised even himself. The mother looked up, startled but curious, while the twins' eyes widened with excitement. "I don't usually do this," he began, his voice softer than anyone would expect from a millionaire CEO. "But tonight, maybe we can share this Christmas together." The mother's heart skipped a beat, sensing the sincerity in his tone. The girls squealed with delight, pulling chairs for him, while he realized that this simple act of human connection was worth far more than any boardroom victory. Just as they began to share a meal, laughter filling the previously silent restaurant, the CEO finally opened the envelope. Inside was not a threatening proposal, but an anonymous letter revealing that a charitable foundation he had unknowingly funded years ago had saved the mother's family from financial ruin. Shock and awe swept over them all as they realized their lives had been intertwined long before tonight. The final twist came when the twins handed him a hand-drawn card, signed "Your Christmas Angels," leaving the CEO with a profound sense that sometimes the greatest fortunes are measured not in money, but in unexpected connections, gratitude, and the magic of human kindness. The restaurant felt warmer than ever as the CEO, the mother, and her twin daughters shared stories, laughter, and a simple Christmas meal. The tension and loneliness that had hung over him like a shadow for years began to lift, replaced by a newfound sense of connection. He realized that wealth and success, while important, had never given him what he truly craved: genuine human relationships. The mother smiled, watching her daughters chat animatedly with the CEO, noticing how icily he interacted with them despite his usually serious demeanor. She felt a quiet relief, knowing that tonight had not only brought joy to her children but had also reminded her that kindness and courage could change lives in unexpected ways. The twins, thrilled by the magic of the evening, insisted on showing him every decoration, every light, and every little detail of the restaurant, making him laugh and forget the burdens he carried outside. As they finally prepared to leave, the CEO handed the mother a small card with his personal number, not for business, but for friendship. The snowfall outside sparkled like tiny stars, reflecting the new hope and warmth that had entered their lives. That Christmas Eve, a lonely millionaire found more than company. He discovered that the truest treasures are love, compassion, and the surprising ways people can touch each other's hearts.